So we're going to start off waiting for our elevator for chapter 7, but we're going to work our way up to the solar array. We actually need to get to the space elevator first before we can get to the solar array panels. So this elevator will just take us to where we need to get the elevator working. Kind of odd, we're in an elevator to an elevator, but we will get jumped by a leaper here. So we want to be prepared for that. Just hit him with the stasis to slow him down. And we also have the puker over here that we're going to get rid of. And he did drop a medium health pack, but there is a store and a bench here, so we're going to get that. That body also has two little necro nuggets behind it. We want to get rid of them. But now we have nothing else to worry about in this room, so we're just going to get all set up. I have a ton of extra health, so I start moving everything over, sell the semiconductors. And we do still have a decent chunk of ammo and a bunch of health in our storage, so we're just going to let that sit. But now we have a bunch of power nodes that we can also use on the bench across the way, and I will pick up the health pack from the floor. And almost forgot about the Leaper's item that he drops, so I do get him too. Now we also have the respec ability, but I will go into health. Mainly just because, well, getting slapped will not hurt as much now. So it's a decent time to get some health. We're going to be going up in the elevator, and it's going to be a chaotic kind of cluster, so having more health is never a bad thing in that situation. But we have these little thruster pods here. We can use pretty much anything to activate them. You can use a body, you can shoot them, you can hit them with other thruster pods. It basically just depends what you want to use, but just hitting them with an object saves the shot, so I opt to do that. You don't really need to activate any of these other pods, they're just there. But there is a power node at the bottom underneath the elevator shaft and the schematic for ripper blades, which we grab. Don't really need to because we don't use the ripper, but they are there. But as soon as you activate the two pods, the two thrusters at the bottom of the elevator, you can go back up to where the elevator entrance is, which is just back where we came from. But whenever we get out into the hallway that leads to the elevator, we'll have two leapers attack us. Or not two leapers, just a single leaper attack us. But at that point we can just use the old stasis and get rid of them. Unless you don't want to stasis them, then, you know, you can just shoot off an arm. Whatever gets you through it the safest. But we're going to activate the elevator and then stand in the middle. You don't really want to stand off to the sides anywhere, because the guys will come from the sides, so the middle is technically the safest area for dodging. But we'll have a bunch of tripods jumping on the elevator, and we definitely want to get rid of them. Funny enough, if you have the force gun at this part, I said in the beginning, the bloody vintage suit and the bloody force gun are like one of the best ways to carry yourself through hardcore on this game. It will actually work on this elevator quite well. The plasma cutter is still really good. It takes 2 shots to get rid of the tripods if you hit the orange pustule parts of their arms, so still really decent. You do kind of have to keep an eye out and just keep rotating. They start off slow, but eventually they'll start coming by like 2s and 3s. You can see there's one here and then one next to them. So they'll start coming in pretty hot and heavy. But there's no real tact to it. They don't really have a fixed location or anything. You just kind of have to be on the lookout. And since they come in multiples, you want to deal with whatever comes up as quickly as possible. You can see that one was whipping at me with his tongue. I think he still had a pretty active hitbox or something there, because it did still hit me even though I felt like I was out of range, but it's nothing too bad. They don't hit extremely hard anyways. They do hit hard, but everything does on this difficulty. And they always drop you stuff, so it's still okay. But whenever the elevator stops, we're definitely going to be on the lookout, because there are cysts out here, and we don't want to get hit by them, because they hurt. But we will take everything from the sides. There is the force gun schematic in this room, which we definitely want in that locker. And I will be using it, so it is a take, in my opinion, schematic, but if you don't want to use it, that's fine. The contact beam can still be your get off me weapon as well, which I do end up using the contact beam as well, so I like to have both of them as an option. But as far as things go, the contact beam is the end boss killer weapon, and also your get off me tool, but the force gun is the get off me as well as hitting the entire room kind of tool in a direction, but has the niche of not exploding things, so it's still a decent tool to have both of. And we definitely want that health pack, so we're gonna grab that. But you do have to throw Mr. Howard Phillips there into the scanner on the door to get it to activate. So we do end up doing that. And we sell any ammo we're not going to use. I do keep the force ammo in my inventory because I am going to get the force gun. And just freeing up some inventory space. But other than that, force gun we don't really touch a whole lot in this run. Force gun for utility wise is always really good at base. If you upgrade the damage in this game, it is an incredible tool for dealing with stuff. But at base, because it's a crowd control kind of thing, it is still good. However, the contact beam, as far as crowd control goes, is probably the preferred one. The contact beam does have the caveat to being ground-based, where you can't hit things in the air with it. So it's everything that's grounded besides you. So if there's like a leaper on the ceiling or wall, it won't really hit them, but it does work on everything else. And in this particular room, clear out these explosives next to the wall before you walk up. It'll actually save you from having to do the decompression here. Because the way that these are lined up, the explosives that are over on the wall there will actually be what activates the window. So we don't want that to happen. That's why we drag the explosives. Because as soon as the tripwires activate, the explosives will decompress the room, and then you'll have to worry about getting sucked out into space. But if you move the explosive canisters, as long as you yourself don't shoot the wall or the window, you don't have to worry about it. And I actually use the window to my advantage in that fact. I was speaking of the quirks of decompression with the windows earlier, and this is the room that I use it in. Because in this room that we're currently in, with the lockers, we actually don't have to worry about decompression sucking us out. It has a limit on where it can suck you out from, and this room is a separate place, but it still gives us line of sight of the window. So we can actually use that to our advantage. Whenever we do this panel and then walk out, we can activate one of the waves of Necromorphs. And then I wait for it to get there, shoot the window, and then it gets sucked out into space. And as you can see, we're not getting pulled. But if you just wait, the window will auto seal itself. So we don't have to waste a shot to seal the window either. You could potentially activate more Necromorphs before you activate the window. In fact, I'm like very certain that you could. I just didn't really want to risk a whole lot. Especially in like a hardcore run. If you can just get rid of one enemy, that's still a benefit to you, so. But we'll activate this elevator and this guy always jumps out. I try to hit him pretty much every time, but never do. But then he'll jump out behind you up here, so you can be prepared for him, or miss like me. My aim with Kinesis stuff is absolutely terrible, if you haven't noticed yet, so. You can miss, just no worries if you do, but you need to adjust if you do, so. That is one thing I think Remake did okay, is that it gave you a bit of auto-aim on the Kinesis whenever you use it, so it was harder to miss, but at the same time it does kind of take away the skill expression. Because everything hits center mass, you can't really take off a limb with the Kinesis stuff. But if we walk towards these lockers and then walk back out, this guy will always bust out. So I just activate him preemptively to get rid of him. But we just clear out the rest of the room. And we're also going to go back and use the workbench. A lot of the areas in the space station here, you just want to be careful of the laser wires, like the tripwires. So, if you see one of them activate on me in the video, then that's where they're going to activate for yourself. You just need to be mindful of the fact that they do exist, and not just run dead ahead. I don't believe they'll insta-kill you, but they do still hurt. And running into them is not ideal. And in this room, we're actually going to have a half stalker and then a full stalker, but we get this one as soon as we go over to the left. He actually didn't go down whenever I hit him, or blew off one of his arms, so that was a bit interesting. But then I just run to the end, he peeks around the corner, that gets him to activate, and then I just take out his arm. You have a lot more time than you think. You don't really need to worry about the countdown of air running out. Like, I still have about a minute and 30 seconds going here to do this panel. The panel's not super hard to do anyways, it takes like 10 seconds, and as soon as you're done, the air activates again. But we will want to grab everything from the room, as always. Then we're going to go to the mainframe room. You won't get attacked immediately, so you can just grab the stuff, kinesis the panel off. Don't switch the pipe over yet, just because we're going to go into the pang room last. That'll be explained whenever we get to it. But we're going to go over to the right one first. And the pang room is connected through the one on the left. So here we kind of have like a little puzzle-y ish thing. I wouldn't really call it a puzzle, it's more just, can you match the shapes? But here, since we have the force gun, we can get rid of the swarmers really efficiently now. So, we're going to do the puzzle, quote unquote, match the shape. You just need to look at the one on the ground over by the window and match it up with the panel on the far right on the wall until they turn green. If you want to do it the easy way, you can just switch them around until they turn green. That'll be just as easy. But now we need to do the same thing over on the left. But on the left, instead of swarmers, we will get attacked by an enhanced slasher, so we definitely want to be prepared for that guy. And again, going through the pipe, you won't get attacked. You just need to switch the pipe over, and then go to the left. But once we're in this room, you need to worry about the enhanced slasher, because he will come out. That's why I have my force gun ready, just to push him back whenever he does come. That's pretty much what I'm waiting for. So I start pulling these out. Still have that he's going to attack me in mind. And there he is. So we shoot him a few times, he gets knocked to the floor, pull out the plasma cutter, and then finish the job. The thing about the force gun in this one is it doesn't always knock down an enemy. It does have 5 shots though, so when in doubt you can pretty much guaranteed knock them down if you have a full clip ready. So you do have the option of a CC. And the secondary fire on the force gun is okay as far as uses go. Whenever you level it, it does do a decent punch of damage, but I don't really use it a whole lot. I use it for clearing out small one-hit enemies or explosive enemies. But now we're going to switch this stuff around until it turns blue, because that will let us go into our Pang room. So we just hit the panel on the wall here that activates after we put the stuff in until it turns blue. And this room single-handedly will be the most worth it room in the game, just because of all the stuff that you get. Pang isn't worth as much as it was in Remake, but it's still worth it, just because it's free money essentially. And there's still a bunch of other stuff in this room, like the large med pack, the power node, this power node. You get money from the cabinet, and Pang itself is about as much as a ruby semiconductor, I believe. So it is definitely worth it to go into that room. But once we go back into the main room here, we're definitely going to be ready for an attack, because they will start coming at us. There's going to be an enhanced slasher and then an armored one. And same thing with the armored guys, you can't fire at their legs. It doesn't work. You don't have to worry about it with like the force gun. It'll still knock them down, but you definitely don't want to do it with the plasma cutter. And there you can see the secondary fire of the force gun. It does still knock them down. But there I was just having trouble aiming for his arms. So it would have been a wiser move to keep out the force gun and then just knock him away and then deal with him. So a little bit of improvement can be done. There, we get rid of all the stuff, or all of the cores, and then we have to deal with these guys. It did take a few shots to get rid of that, or knock that necromorph off its feet, which can't happen. Sometimes you just get unlucky. That's why I prefer the contact beam for the get off me kind of utility. The only problem with the contact beam is it's kind of high animation startup time, where you can still take damage, and you are actually pretty much immune to flinching at that point. Oh yeah, and this guy scares the shit out of you. But you are pretty much immune to flinching whenever you're using the secondary of the contact beam. You can still take damage, but stalkers or things that will knock you off your feet will be a problem if they hit you while you're doing the wind-up. Oh yeah, and don't be oblivious to cysts like I was. I don't know how it didn't kill me, but it definitely should have. But this room has cysts in it. And then divider parts, which are not nearly as tanky as they are in the remake, but are still annoying. But yeah, cysts make a very distinctive sound, so if you're even remotely paying attention, you should be able to hear them. And you also can't throw divider parts. They just explode on impact. It doesn't work. So now we're going to have lurkers, leapers, and enhanced slasher. We still have divider parts as well, being annoying and a pain in the ass. So make sure you clear out the divider parts in the last room before going into this room. It will make your life easier, and you won't get hit twice in the back. But we clear out the 2 lurkers, then we move up a little. We're going to have this slasher jump out. And we just deal with him as he's climbing up. Then we have leapers coming in. I figured he would be jumping next to me over there, because the way he looked, but he didn't. But then there was another lurker down there, so we get rid of him. And we do have a power node door over to our right, which we will be using. More often than not, the power node doors are worth it, so we're definitely going to do that. And this one is especially worth it because it has our contact beam in it, so we definitely want to do this one. We pretty much have our full loadout at the next store at this point, with contact beam, force gun, and plasma cutter. And pretty much our next objective will be maxing out the contact beam's alternate fire. Honestly, the contact beam is kind of a one focus wonder in this game. Because its damage is already maxed out whenever you get it, as long as you can be efficient with the charge up time and reload time of the contact beam, the alt fire will carry it through the rest of the way. Because as soon as you get it, it's already doing the max damage that it can do. Unlike in the first one where you needed to upgrade the damage, this one it just starts at max. So, it is definitely good to have the contact beam. And it doesn't need points in damage. You just need to worry about the extraordinarily long reload time and the 1 second of charge time that it takes to fire a shot. But as long as you use it for the better of its purposes, in my opinion, of just crowd control, you can definitely make it work very well. And we want to get rid of this nest first. Stasis is your friend whenever it comes to these. And the little shits that it spit out, you just want to boost away from as fast as possible. Because if they hit you, they definitely hurt.
I knew he would just slow me down.
If Strauss dies, so do my chances of destroying the mark.
So, I would definitely recommend just getting rid of the nest as soon as possible. And they do have annoying tracking projectiles that can hit you a lot. So, they're not super hard to dodge as long as you just boost to one side, but if you stop whenever they're coming at you, they will hit and hurt. And they do drop you a semiconductor whenever they go down, so just remember to grab that. But after that nest is gone, we're pretty much just alone up here to collect resources. So we don't have to worry about anything else. Except for, you know, the obvious suffocation, but as long as we pay attention, we will be fine. And there's oxygen spread everywhere, so you can always just grab some as you go. I'm just getting all of the boxes because we want all of the free items that it will give us. And sometimes you have a rogue item that just decides it wants to go back to its people. But we can just kinesis it and grab it as we do. So now we're just going to line up the solar panels. The way they work is you don't really look at the light beam or anything that's coming out of them. You want to line up the window with the panel. The magnet area that you can see. You want to line that up with the panel, not the beam of light. I know that confuses some people, but as long as you do that, you're fine.
How's it looking on your end?
I'm trying to roll back the cover now. Strauss, can you give me a hand with this?
Oh, he'll hurt me. I'm not strong enough.
I promise I'll protect you. Now, just get over here and give me a hand. Here. Something covering the collector panel. Oh my god. There's thousands of them. They're breaking apart.
Ellie, get out of there!
Oh my god, they're heading this way. Run, Strauss, run!
Ellie, come in! Ellie!
So we're just going to finish up with the solar panels and then go back to the main elevator hub that we were in, where the panels are all focal at. Then we're going to have a skydiving sequence.
Ellie! You alright?
We just made it to the crossover tube when the beam hit. Isaac, those things are still heading towards the transport hub. They're wrecking everything in their path.
Holy shit, they'll cut us off. Get to the hub! I'll meet you as soon as I can! Ellie, come in!
Isaac, we have to cross to the government sector before they cut us off. You'll never make it down here in time.
So now we're going to do our jettison down onto the surface, or Titan Station. It's not a super hard part, but whenever you are on hardcore, it can be kind of frightening, because one wrong step and you can die. So we're just going to go right, then left. You want to stay left, and then another to the right. And then you'll go through the center of this pipe, and then through the green area of this giant chunk, and then to the right. The part can really get your nerves going, but it's not too bad whenever you watch the sequence a few times of somebody doing it. I've never personally died there, but I know it can be nerve-wracking whenever you are doing it. So we're definitely going to collect everything in the area that we just superhero landinged in.
Ellie, where are you?
Right outside.
And we do have a store right here, so we're definitely going to take advantage of that. We've got ourselves a little rumble going on here. But we can sell ping, we can sell our 2 semiconductors. So that was another 30 grand that we just got. We do have a lot of force energy, so we're good on that. I would personally recommend taking a bit more health, honestly. Probably going to expect to get hit a few times. But we do get our contact beam, so now we have that. We have a bit more insurance for getting off of us, so to speak. But we'll go out into the area here. Make sure you collect everything before all the fighting starts, because we're just going to kind of stay in one little area. And it'll definitely help to have everything collected before we have to worry about it. So if you kind of want to sweep, I wouldn't sweep like I did. I'd go from the left to the right, because we're going to go over by the right-hand door where it says CEC over there. But here, we have the pack, but you can see the force gun will put in work on these guys. Whenever you have the force gun, the pack becomes a non-issue. But we do want to be mindful of our right, because there is a vent over there where stuff will be jumping out.
Hold on.
In particular, we're waiting for Ellie to say one thing, which is basically, it's open, go Isaac. So in the meantime, don't worry about the door until she says it. But if you did notice, we did take out the leaper while it was in mid-leap animation with the force gun, so it does have that advantage for us as well. And it is hard to hear the puker spitting at us, but at the same time he did help us out with that slasher, so that was good. And here we get a little unlucky with the force gun. It does not knock this necromorph down, which was kind of bad. Here I should have pulled out the contact beam and just went for the get off me maneuver. It would have been a lot smarter. And would have definitely taken out both of those guys. So, that was another little mistake. I kind of got used to the fact that I didn't have the contact beam at this point, so it really didn't occur to me to think about it. But there you go. Now we run inside the door. But yeah, if you're ever trapped in a corner like I was there, just pull out the contact beam and fire it at the ground. It will, more often than not, insta-kill anything around you. Even if the alt fire isn't fully upgraded, it will still knock everything down or away from you, which is just as good. But with that, we're going to end up talking to Ellie for a little bit, and then we're going to be on our way to chapter 8. So, other than that, have a good one, and let me know what you guys think.
Pieces of them are still lying around here somewhere.
Ellie, I know. I'm sorry.
And here I am again. I've just walked one big fucking circle today.
We'll get through this. Let's figure out how to meet up.
Right. There's a central hub in the main facility. Here are the coordinates.